So in that sense, Tru4 very blessed, also has a Steve main in his own region, so has a lot of experience in the matchup. This time, Palutena, I know he has a lot of experience against Palutena, but
from Light,
Raflow, from Light, from Surgeon as well. But Raflow, just a different breed. So in that sense, I'm really curious to see how this is going to go. We're going to see a lot of patient play, because ever since the Palutena nerfs, this matchup has actually become, a lot more doable for Shulk. But through those nerfs, the kind of optimal strategy that arose was to play a very patient, grounded, bait-heavy playstyle. So we're going to see Tru4 taking a little bit more slowly, and Raflow also answering with a little bit more of the... Ooh. Okay, a little bit of a misinput. You have to wonder what happened there. Anyway, we're gonna reset the match ASAP. But basically what I was gonna say is, like, Raflow cannot really react to that by rushing in and playing aggressively himself. Instead, has to play a little bit more slow-paced as well. So I think we're just gonna continue from this game state onwards.
Okay. So we're going to continue playing on this game state, so that seems to be the fairest point. And Raflow, what I like about his Palutena, and I am a Palutena player myself, is that he manages to, through some smart movement, manages to find the hits that he needs, the nairs, and now he's getting the grabs, getting the ledge trap. Tru4 in some trouble here, gets another nair, he just can't get off the ledge, and there's the explosive flame. Beautiful play by Raflow.
Did not react to the explosive flame. You have to get those reactions on point. At the end of the day, though, Raflow showing extreme dominance in this first stock. That was insane pressure. Even getting his momentum stopped by the pause, and from there, still picking it back up. And I think mentality-wise, that just shows a lot about his level of play.
Right, and we saw an early smash shot coming out there, of course, Raflow respecting it, going high, gets back to the middle of the stage. The dash attack from Palutena, very important in this matchup. Down throw to back air is not going to connect. That hasn't been true for quite some while, but does try to go for it anyway. Tru4, back in neutral, back in the ledge trap. Here's that smash shot again. Doesn't quite get the hit he needs.
Alright, and it's looking like the lead is, it's widening and it's widening. Raflow just finding the right hits, but there's that run of forward air, extremely key to punishing Palutena's recovery, and Shulk just one of those few characters that can actually go out there and hit Palutena for recovering incorrectly. So in that sense, it is a little bit of a matchup test, right? Like, does Raflow know how to adjust his recovery routes to play against Shulk's and Tru4's pressure specifically? Tru4 a little bit off on the coverage at the edge there, not really beating the double jump back to the stage, and Raflow finding that rising back out of shield, an amazing tool against Shulk. However, has to recover here, 2-frame. Oh, the high recovery by Raflow. Amazing mix-up. Yep, just hard reading that 2-frame attempt. Even going over the air slash, you don't see that often. Raflow, very nice presence of mind there. I'm a big fan of how he composes himself.
Right, and already it's Tru4 130%. Now it's Raflow's turn to find that KO, but that can be hard against Shulk, against his big hitbox, because you need to get in first. And Tru4 is not scared to go out with his jump art. Raflow loses his stock, and Tru4 is back in the lead.
Raflow trying to mix up the recovery a little bit too much, and that is going to be a lead for Tru4. Not for long, though. We're back to even, but that is a huge swing in Tru4's favor. However, we're going to see how is this stock going to go. It's very important for Shulk to up behind to shield those nairs, and it's very important for Palutena to fast fall those nairs to make them -9, or at least mix up the timing and make it basically unreactable and un-air slashable as well. And we can see Raflow doing that. So that definitely is a big show of matchup knowledge, in my opinion, right? Not a lot of Palutenas will fast fall that neutral air to basically counteract the air slash, because it kind of requires you to know a lot about the matchup. Now we see these buster strings. They're big. They're important to these games. And now those fast falls by Raflow kind of working in his disadvantage, because he is missing that final hit of the nair, not getting any conversions, picking safety over reward, which, good option, but in these situations maybe needs to react a little bit more before going for those fast falls.
Yeah, a very scary situation right there with the smash art online, but Raflow makes it back to the middle of the stage using the teleport. Teleport, a very important tool in this match to get behind Shulk. Of course, can be scary, because if Shulk finds the hit here, could be game, but Raflow makes it back, gets the dash, that gets some shield combos. I like it.
That down air on the roll, but the forward tilt mix up, and Tru4 is gonna win the first game after that tragic SD by Raflow, really turning the momentum into Tru4's favor. I think, definitely a shame, but at the end of the day, you do have to commend Tru4 for picking up that momentum as well as he could. It's not easy, you know, like an SD, we've seen Raflow after that pause in the first stock also picking up the momentum very well again. So in that sense, we know Raflow definitely one who can, you know, recompose himself and pick up the momentum again. After that SD though, it wasn't just about momentum, it was also about that, just the sheer deficit in terms of stocks and percentage.
All right, so first game, quite back and forth. We saw Raflow taking the lead, Tru4 taking the back, and then all of a sudden it's a very scary situation where really either player can take it. What do we need to see from the players to adapt? Because they've been, in my view, they're playing to their to most of the matchup. They're playing it right, like you pointed out, the fastball nairs, the that Tru4 can't upbeat. But what could they change up in their game plan?
I think Raflow is definitely playing a little bit scrambly, right? He tries to get in close and then, you know, scramble it out with Shulk, which, you know, makes sense. Shulk doesn't have the best frame data, but Palutena doesn't really have the best up-close frame data to play those scrambles either. So what that kind of results in is a lot of very swingy situations. So we kind of see Tru4 trying to play a longer range and then Raflow trying to, you know, break into that range. Very common dynamic for Shulk. But I would say in this matchup, you would rather play a solid mid-range as Raflow. That said, though, talking about, you know, Raflow as a player, very, very strong at converting those scrambles into amazing advantage states. Just gets so much out of his advantage, and that is exactly what we're seeing right here. Tru4 kind of looking for a turnaround grab, but that is extremely risky at these lower percents because of the second rising nair possibility from Palutena. A very common mix-up, right? When Palutena does a rising or landing nair, oftentimes they will shield afterwards because it's, you know, just barely punishable or barely unpunishable, and then the shield will mitigate that. Tru4 trying to read that, but getting caught because of it. And now we're back to what we saw in the first game, a solid lead by Raflow. Kind of getting overwhelmed a little bit by speed art. It's a very important art in this matchup. Tru4 trying to go for the confirm, but the confirm was not true at these percents. The upbeat to center, and that is, again, Tru4 a little bit of an overextension with that smash art. And it's smart by Raflow, because if you upbeat to the center of the stage, right, you can get hit by a smash art punish, but it won't kill you. Whereas if you get hit by a smash art punish at the ledge, it will kill you.
Right, and that backer isn't gonna kill, but that forward tilt will. Tru4 with what bait? What are you talking about? What was he baiting?
He ran off with the speed art, and Raflow reacting by upbeating to center, and then Tru4 instead just jumping back to the stage and punishing it dearly, going wide to the outside.
Now, that was very smart by Raflow, making sure that Tru4 had to space that up B perfectly, because it's so scary. That up smash will kill you at 110%, and it's active for so long, it's very hard to miss. Raflow now in a solid lead. The Buster Art will tack on some percentage, but nothing to really write home about. It's nothing to take to the bank just yet. But Tru4 still looking strong in this advantage state. Back throw, smash art. Will he get an early kill here?
Oh, the chase with the up.
Smart.
That was insane. Now, tried to read the edge cancel from the up B with the up air, but Raflow mixing it up by not edge canceling. Tru4 calling out the early fastball timing on the nair. Raflow a little bit too rude in the way he's returning and gets punished. And that is an almost unanswered stock by Tru4. And what looked like a dominating lead from Raflow has turned into an even game again. And Tru4 just keeps finding these equalizations somehow.
Yeah, Tru4 is playing out of his mind right now. Raflow is too, but at some points, it's really a toss-up which way each stock is gonna go. Right now it's Raflow in the lead. The shield art gets activated. Can't really get much done with that on, so Raflow will just try to find little hits. Gets the dash attack here. Nice down air to push him to the ledge. Tru4 now in trouble. It's 86% already, but he does get some hits in right here. Might get some conversions. No, the nair will put Raflow back into its advantage state. And this is a scary situation for Tru4.
Yeah, it's very important for Shulk to kind of like play the neutral with a solid speed or a Buster Monado, and kind of playing to the cooldowns in that regard. But we see Raflow just baiting Tru4 into these scramble situations over and over and over. And Tru4, he's biting. We saw him with the forward tilt there, and Raflow just with the down throw backer. Not a true combo, but Tru4 wasn't about to air dodge. Is gonna get caught off. And that's a 1-1 equalizer. And I mean, basically what we expected after that game one, we saw Raflow in the driver's seat for so much of that game. Seeing him win this game, very, very unsurprising. I do want to point out one very, very important thing that we saw in those games, and that is that Tru4 is the equalizer, but he's never the lead, right?
No.
And that is such a big aspect. Like you can say, hey, you know, Tru4 always finds a way to equalize the stocks back up. But if you're equalizing, then you're gonna be losing every single game because your opponent's gonna have that final stock before you do. So very important for Tru4 to perhaps, you know, find a little bit more of initiative, capitalize on those art cooldowns a little bit more as well, and from there, you know, he can always snowball a little bit more instead of relying on these neutral interactions. Because if we do compare the advantage states, then Raflow definitely way stronger in these first 2 games.
All right, we're gonna go into game number 3. The score has been equalized to 1-1, and we are going to go to Kalos. Now, Kalos, not really a Shulk stage, or is it, Ramses?
It actually is.
It is. Oh, sorry.
It's probably one of Shulk's best stages.
Sorry.
The side platforms are amazing for his recovery. He can corner people here very well. If you're on the platform, you're basically, you know, still in a really bad situation against Shulk. The flat stage, really strong against Palutena specifically, who loves the platforms to mix up her up B as well. And then, you know, Shulk can kind of camp the side platforms for Monados, as well as use them for offstage pressure, right? So he can go into jump to the platform, and then do a runoff from the platform, cover even more space than he normally does. Very potent offstage presence as well. So overall, probably his best or second best stage in my opinion.
Okay, that's good to know, and that's why I'm here. I'm trying to learn as well. I'm not very keen on Shulk. I do know a lot about Palutena, and I also know about this situation, where he finds his way back using the dash attack. The jump art has been used simply to mix up some timings. The back air to push Tru4 off stage. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing as well. One thing, there it is, the run up from the platform. We talked about that just now. So Tru4 using the environment to his utmost advantage. Very well done. Now the nair into the forward tilt, a nice check. The up air, the shield on the nair. You gotta get those in on deck, because Raflow, I do think he's very eager on that nair usage. Maybe it's a matchup thing. Maybe it's just how he plays. But in this situation, you know, against Shulk, he is gonna have a consistent punish against that nair. So you gotta wonder, you know, is Tru4 gonna punish enough to make Raflow stop using there, or is Raflow going to be able to play the risk reward well and just kind of push through, brute force that aspect of his game plan? Now we see a more Becker heavy playstyle from Raflow, something that, you know, on surface works very well against Shulk, but if Shulk is playing patiently himself and playing to his cooldowns, you actually don't want to wall him out at all. You want to set up some sort of pressure while the speed art, while the buster art is on cooldown, and right now the pressure is a very projectile-based Tru4 kind of jumping into the explosive flames, a little bit overzealous on the walling game. It is very hard though, so let me...
It is, yeah.
Quick little monologue.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of this matchup is played in the mid-range, where Shulk's backer is very good at denying Palutena from entering her mix-up territory, where like her dash attack and her nair, as well as her grab start becoming mix-ups, right? So he uses the backer to kind of deny Palutena from entering that space in the first place. But if you preemptively start back airing to deny that space, then Palutena can use her projectiles to harass Shulk. So we get that mid-range interaction where it's not really about the mid-range, but more about the long range with the backer and the projectiles. Anyway, during that time, Tru4 solidifying the lead with a very solid Buster string into the smash to finish it off. A classic Shulk combo, right? Buster into smash.
It is, yeah.
And now Raflow on the back foot, and really wondering how he's going to make up for that deficit.
Right, and I want to point out something you said before this set. Raflow was mostly taking the lead in these games before, but this third game has been all about Tru4. Taking the lead, taking the first stock, taking the second stock or first. Raflow is trailing behind, is doing so within range. I would say this is pretty okay to come back from, but not a situation you want to be in against Shulk, because this gives Shulk the time to charge up his Monados, charge up the smash art, go for some cheeky early KOs. The auto reticle not gonna connect, and now Raflow is looking for those back airs, like you pointed out earlier, gets punished for it.
Ooh, and that explosive flame recovery. And again, we saw Tru4 do the same thing that worked so well with the fake out, right? Running off and jumping back on. But you cannot do that against the explosive flame. And the annoying thing, okay, that's hard to react to.
That's very annoying, Ramses.
That is an annoying thing. Yeah, I mean, an annoying thing about Shulk is that his smash art reduces his damage, which in turn reduces the hit lag, which means that a lot of his smash art moves are unreactable. So that forward tilt actually shouldn't have killed, but because it's an unreactable forward tilt, you know, it is gonna KO you. So that's kind of like the hidden privilege of smash art. Anyway, the annoying thing that I wanted to mention is you cannot actually switch arts during Explosive Flame.
No,
so
you can't.
one thing that people don't really know is that like there are certain requirements for Shulk to be able to switch during hit stun, and one of the things is the re-hit rate of a move, right? So if a move re-hits too often, Shulk doesn't have enough time to switch arts in between the hits. So getting stuck in the smash art, hit by the Explosive Flame, definitely like a worst case scenario. Anyway, game 4, we've seen such a back and forth so far. Game 1, perhaps out of nowhere, Tru4 kind of won that, the SD coming in big. Game 2, Raflow looking extremely dominant, and now game 3 looking extremely dominant for Tru4. So game 4, basically anything can happen here. I will say Smashville, a little bit of an uncomfortable stage for Shulk because you don't have a lot of room to play around Palutena, especially a scrambly Palutena like Raflow's.
Right, I wanted to point that out as well. We've seen Raflow go for these nairs in that close range situation all the time, trying to scramble with Tru4. And Smashville seems like the perfect stage to suit his playstyle. Now, Tru4, not too shabby, gets a couple of forward airs. His big hitboxes will cover a lot of the stage, so I guess in that sense Smashville is okay. But we'll see how it plays out here. Tru4 with a small percentage deficit.
So one amazing thing about this stage for Shulk is that generally the Shulk idea is, okay, I'm going to win neutral in speed and then kind of finish off with an advantage state in Buster or Smash. And in this, on this stage, getting that win in speed more consistently pushes the opponent to the edge, which means that your Buster and Smash is going to be more scary, right? And that's what we saw at the beginning of the stock where, you know, like you said, Tru4 gets a few forward airs in that speed art, and then come the big hits. Then we get like the Buster Becker, the Buster forward air, the Buster combos, and that is going to lead into this situation where again we see the speed win in neutral and the edge, the ledge trap afterwards. And in ledge trap territory, definitely going to be a huge advantage for Shulk. The up B cancel gets called out, but the air dodge is too fast. Shulk a little bit too slow to keep up with the teleport cancels.
I gotta be honest, I've seen Raflow waiting a lot on the ledge, but we also saw that Tru4 knows how to trump, knows how to get those edge guards on point. That gets the back throw here. Now it's time for Raflow to show what he's got in that ledge trap situation. Doesn't quite get it. Nice jump there to get out of there.
Oh, and Tru4 dropping some of these critical punishes. And look at the percentages. These players are neck and neck. Who is going to take that ever so important first stock? It is going to be Tru4. Just the roll in forward tilt, and that's an important call out against Palutena, especially a Palutena like Raflow. Like we said, very scrambly, and scrambly characters often preemptively cover options, right? So we saw the rising back air from Raflow covering a jump, and Tru4 rolling in as a reaction, punishing it on the landing. Like you said, nice back air by Raflow, evening up the stocks. Raflow's advantage state still extremely deadly. Look at these resets, look at these hits. Knows what he has to do to kind of keep the pressure going against speed or against shield art. But Tru4, he looks to be eking out a little bit of an advantage so far.
Yeah, and something I've been wondering about is this shield art usage, because the shield art, of course it's great in this advantage, but I've seen Shulk use like, ooh, this is a scary situation. He lives though. Raflow makes it back, and the smash art is activated, needs to get back to the middle of the stage, but gets covered. Tru4 has every option covered right there.
Tru4 looking insanely strong right here, and yeah, like ever since the Palutena versus matchup has been all, or the Palutena nerfs, this matchup has been all but even, and Tru4 already extremely experienced against Palutena, was already feeling like, you know, maybe this matchup is closer to even than we thought before the nerfs, let alone right now, and really coming onto his own. After that first game, a little bit shaky, second game, a little bit shaky, but now really understanding this is what Raflow wants to do, this is how I should push my advantages. We see Raflow going for those reversals a lot, you know, the nair from the ledge, and you cannot do that against the Buster Monado Shulk because the punish is just that extreme. A lot of spot dodges by Tru4 also connecting. Goes for a read on a normal getup, not finding it there. But, you know, doesn't get punished too badly either because he had that smash art active.
It does show what kind of mindset Tru4 is in. He's like, okay, I want to take the set home right now. And who can blame him? This is a very important set. And we've seen how Raflow can bring this back. But Tru4, in a very commanding fashion right now, gets the smash art ready, gets for the ledge trap, and gets the final hit on the forward air. He takes it home 3-1 over Raflow.
That is such an intricacy of the matchup. The way... So one thing about the matchup is that, you know, Palutena does not want to get 2-framed, so she will recover on like stage height to avoid the 2-frame window, right? But if you recover stage height, you're not spending as much time in the air, and if you're not spending as much time in the air, you have less